Well, today we keep in prayer and in our thoughts, especially Father Mike, the pastor, and the other pilgrims who are going to their Greece and Turkey trip, that everything will go well. And, Father Mike was telling me that they have like a 6-hour layover in one city in Europe. And, they have a few things that are going to slow them down a little bit. So that's part of it, but hopefully everything will go really, really well. Today we read from the letter of St. Paul to Titus, and this is one of the letters in the New Testament, and in more recent times it has been debated whether it was written by St. Paul. It is possible that it was penned by a devoted follower of his, and it's also possible that it is from his hand based on stylistic differences and things like that. And so what happened is that Paul and Titus had evangelized this island together of Crete that had a Jewish community, but Paul had to move on and continue his work elsewhere. And so he leaves Titus behind to continue to organize the Christian community there on the island. And so what we see as we look at his explanation of the kind of qualities a person should have, and who is a presbyter, right? Well, a presbyter is a priest, but he then goes on to mention the bishop, right? Bishop, and it's a picture of how things have changed over time. And there is something called development of doctrine in the church. It is part of our Catholic life, development of doctrine. And what that means is not that we go back and deny teachings that we profess, important teachings and beliefs, Jesus is Son of God, etc., but that we continue to mature in our grasp of the revealed mystery of faith. And even that we continue to refine our discipline, okay? Because in this reading, in this time in the early church, it was common for bishops to be married men and have a regular family. And in our time today, in the Latin church, bishops must be celibate. Priests must be celibate. And if a deacon loses his wife, then he has to live in the celibate lifestyle after that. If she passes away, for example. So we're seeing how the church continues to mature over time as she more and more deeply embraces Christ's calling to her. And so that would be something I wanted to point out to you. And today, we encounter this reading that speaks of condemnation and punishment, and it's not an easy reading, is it? That if someone causes a little one to sin, they should have a millstone thrown around their neck. And, one thing to point out is that while we tend to intuit that this refers to children, the original biblical meaning is the word anoim, and anoim were God's poor. So they were the ones who were on the fringes of society, those who were outcasts, those who were neglected. So based on that reading, that if one breaks down and attacks those that are the anoim, that are God's poor, then a terrible punishment awaits. And it just takes us back to that need to be concerned for the good of our brothers and sisters. And part of our calling as Catholics is to have concern and to go out to those who are not loved, who are not cared for, who are not served. And we have to remember that there are many people that have never experienced genuine love. They have never truly been loved for their own sake and not objectified. And that's so many people. And sometimes when we look at the negativity and the lack of faith in the world, well, many people have never seen what truly self-giving love is like. They didn't get it from their parents. They didn't get it necessarily from their teachers or from people that influenced them. And so we have to to lean into that. So I pray as we continue this week that we will always be people that have an eye and a heart for those who are suffering, those who are neglected, those who are in need of support, especially of spiritual help, that we would be there for them and continue to encourage them as disciples of Christ.